Hey friends, and welcome back to another lesson in the TTF Garage Sessions series. Today we're going to be continuing on with our training in the double stick method, and I'm going to introduce to you the 6-count Siniwalli pattern. Now, the Siniwalli pattern, as you remember, means when we have a couple of different weapons that are weaving around our body. They're moving in concert around our body and around each other. They're not moving singly, all right? That's the sort of the classification or the definition that I give. Other systems, other teachers use a slightly different definition. Doesn't matter. What I'm talking about is when we have two weapons and they're going to be working simultaneously around your body, weaving in and out of each other. And this is going to be a 6-count pattern that we're going to talk about today. This can be taking its form in many different ways, and I'm just going to introduce to you, touch on what I mean with this. So we're just going to introduce today a couple of the very basic variations in the 6-count Siniwalli family. The first one I'd like to talk to you today about is called Heaven 6, by us and by many other people, Heaven 6 Siniwalli. 6 beats to come back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to find me back in the same position that I started from. And I'm going to hit all of my 6 shots on the same line, on the high line. That's why it's called Heaven 6. They're all upward, okay? When we do this, we're doing downward 45-degree angles for this. There's different ways to do it, which I'll introduce later, but just for the basic version. And we're going to hit inward, backhand, backhand, and then inward, backhand, backhand, okay? So I'm going to start with my sticks underneath my right arm, my right one up, my left one under my right arm. And then I'm going to hit with my top hand inward, put it on my shoulder. Backhand, bring it out. Backhand, tuck it underneath. And now I'm in the opposite side. I'm on a mirror of the opposites of the first side I started, okay? And now again, inward, shoulder, backhand, pull it out, and backhand, tuck it under. And now I'm back where I started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 brings me back to where I began, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now ultimately what I'd like you to do is to be able to hit in such a rhythm that there is no start or stop. If someone would walk in and listen, they couldn't hear where you began and where you ended. We don't want it to sound like pause, pause, or okay, we don't want to have that pause. It should just sound like a metronome. What this means is, as soon as one stick is chambering, one is firing to fill that line again. As soon as one stick is chambering, the other stick is firing to fill that line. Fire, fill the line, chamber, refill the line, okay? There's no gap. It's not like this. Even when I get to the other side. So 1, 2, 3, as soon as I tuck that 6th shot, the number 1 shot's coming back again. And then you'll notice there is no pause in the beginning, middle, or end of the sequence. It just continues, it rolls on. Okay, so this is Heaven 6. Now I'm going to keep that same formula of inward, backhand, backhand, inward, backhand, backhand, but I'm going to go high, low, high, high, low, high. High, low, high, high, low, high. All right? So I hit high inward, low backhand, now about the kneecap. Don't have it here in the middle. Hit it down low at the kneecap. And high backhand. And then I'm on the other side. I come back to the same thing. Inward high, backhand low, backhand high. Inward, backhand, backhand. Inward, backhand, backhand. High, low, high, high, low, and high. Okay? Now, you do the same thing on the low, all low shots. Inward, backhand, backhand, inward, backhand, backhand, all of them low. And this is going to be what we refer to as earth 6. Okay? Heaven, standard, earth. All right? So we go low, 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 low. Inward, backhand, backhand, inward, backhand, backhand, inward, backhand, backhand, inward, backhand, backhand. Now you'll notice I'm hitting downward. Some systems teach that that should be an upward 45, upward 45, upward 45, or downward 45, backhand upward 45, backhand downward 45. All of them still hitting on that line, but hitting from different sides of it, okay? For right now, don't even worry about that. All I want you to do is hit down, 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 okay? And that's your earth 6. Once you feel comfortable with that, I'd like you to start stringing those together. And you don't need to worry about footwork. We'll have footwork in an integration video coming up the next class, actually. Okay, and so you'll be able to see that. But actually, it'll be after we do another integration with a 4-count Siniwalli. I want you to get used to this before we start putting it with footwork. All right, this is a little bit different than the 4-count Siniwalli. And you'll have to learn to differentiate, and once you do them both, you'll see why it is, okay? So, again, I want you to start putting these together. So I want you to go high, standard, earth, high, standard, low, or earth, earth, standard, heaven, heaven, standard, earth, standard, heaven. Okay, the exact same pattern, just altering where the hits take place. So I can go heaven 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, standard, high, low, high, high, low, high, high, and earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Standard, high, low, high, high, low, high. Heaven, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Standard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Standard. Heaven. Okay? Now the key with these motions is repetition. You need to be able to do these over and over and over again. And how you can do that is just to start the motion and then start moving around in your home. Outside, in your basement, in your living room, in the case of what I'm doing here. Okay? But just learn to move the stick. And sometimes you can just stay all high. And I can start just moving my feet. Sometimes I'm going to imagine somebody coming in on me with an attack, and I just put those 6 hits between that person and me, just to keep them away. Okay, and I can just move, walk forward, walk backwards, circle, 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 turn around. Try not to put my back to the camera, but you get the idea, and you just spend time. We say time in the pattern, okay? You just spend time hitting 6-count Siniwalli. Whether you want to go standard, all earth, bring it back up to heaven, right? And you're going to start blending these different patterns together. When you do that, we call that shadowboxing. When you see a boxer just moving around, hitting, that's shadowboxing. When you're shadowboxing with a weapon, we use a term called Carrenza, your Carrenza, and that is your shadow solo movement. I go a bit farther when I'm talking about Carrenza with my students, and I define it as spontaneous and creative. It's a solo motion where I'm by myself, but it's spontaneous and creative. It's not a pattern. You recall earlier we talked about doing patterns of footwork and hands with your weapons, and we called that amara. So when I create a pattern that I'm going to follow, like we do in the integration footwork and stick videos, that is amara, where I have a pattern and I do it X amount of times. Carrenza is when I just free flow and move how I feel. Okay? And so you can start to blend all these things that we've been doing together into your personal Carrenza. And I suggest you do this for 5 to 10 minutes a day, and you will start to get used to how to move the weapon and how to move it around you and becoming familiar and comfortable with it. And what's powerful about this is that you will be able to see come out of you what's inside of you. If it's spontaneous and it's creative, it can't come out of you if it's not in there. So if you find yourself not able to do things, then you know you need to slow down and practice it in an Amara format where I decide I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I do it. And then that will teach your body how to do it, and it'll be able to come out when you show your Carrenza. Okay, so this has been a very brief introduction to 6-count Siniwalli using the inward backhand strike pattern on a high standard, which is high and low, and earth lines. Okay? Later on, we won't just do inward backhand backhand, we'll do inward backhand, backhand, etc. Different ways of moving the 6. Still on a 6-count Siniwalli pattern, just changing the angles. Okay? So, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please take the time to actually do this training. And in fact, I would say take at least 10 minutes right now to go through the different Heaven 6, Standard 6, Earth 6, and make sure you've really got it, okay? This isn't something you do once or twice. This is something you do for a long time. Little and often is going to get you a long ways in your martial arts development, in your fitness development, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So, hey, I hope you enjoyed it. Drop me a line, let me know what you think. And as always, if you liked it, like it. If you wouldn't mind sharing it with people who you think would be enjoying it as well, do that. And subscribe to this channel. Get involved at the TTF Garage Sessions Facebook group. I'm in there twice a week, live, answering questions and interacting with whoever wants to interact with me. Okay, so take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.